Hey my freaks and geeks! So today's video is going to be about creating your appearance for your first LARP character. So this video is really going to be focused on getting stuff from your closet and mainly thrift stores. So for my first character, I didn't have anything. I had nothing that would fit the time period. I had graphic t-shirts and jeans and sneakers and that was it. So I really had to scramble to get a costume because I didn't want to just go, jeans, a t-shirt, and some sneakers. So I'm going to first go over the do's and the don'ts, and then I'll be going into some examples from some really terribly secret shots I took from my local thrift store. So I'm going to put the don'ts over here first, because that's what we're going over first. So, number 1, try to avoid wearing jeans, graphic t-shirts, and bright colored sneakers. So, you're not going to get chastised if you wear this to your first event, but I would really suggest avoiding it because of the fact that it breaks immersion for other people. So you can wear a normal t-shirt, wear like a gray or black t-shirt, that's fine. That's less immersion breaking than, some band t-shirt. Jeans, A, they're not easy to move in, and B, it's modern clothing. Sneakers, if they're brightly colored, it's, it really just, that kind of whole outfit distracts people, and you really want to try and avoid that. So, another don't for me is avoid mismatching personality and appearance, because people's first impression of you is your appearance. So if you're wearing all these tattered clothes and everything, you're supposed to be this rich, regal character. That doesn't really read well. Another don't is also try to avoid really just the same color throughout, because that makes a really static outfit not very boring, very boring and not very interesting to look at. Also avoid too many colors because it just hurts your eyes if there's too much going on. That leads me kind of into my fourth don't, which is avoid putting on too much or too little. So usually characters have at least one accessory on them, but sometimes people like to overload on accessories, like 4 necklaces, like a pair of earrings, like a hat or like a helmet, like some bracelets, belt covered in bags and pouches. You really want to pull back on stuff like that. Or sometimes it's just really plain, so brown shirt, black pants, some shoes, and it's not really that interesting. So it can be something as simple as a belt or a necklace or like a circlet to kind of add a next level, if you can, to your character. So for the do's, similar to the don'ts, match your personality to your character. Since I kind of already went over that with the don'ts, I'll just skip on to the next one. So for another do, is try and find period accurate or time accurate clothing. So if say you're a warrior in the medieval times, maybe wear some white frilly shirts with some black pants, some maybe calf-high boots or something, so then you can fit more in. And it's not actually that hard to find stuff like that at a thrift store, as I'll be showing you later some examples. Another thing for do's is try and find one color that kind of speaks to you or your character. So for my character Hazel, all the stuff that she wears is blue. Not everything, but that is her main character. That's how you identify her. Because, my hair is not going to be blue soon. She's going to be wearing, and usually most of her gowns are going to be blue, as well as, maybe some accessories and stuff. Another do is try and match it up with your class. So say you are going to be a warrior. I'm going to suggest wearing a super long, elegant gown, so you can trip over and fall. Or, if you're going to be a mage, I wouldn't suggest, wearing a bunch of heavy plate armor at first. I mean, you can, definitely, because, mages are squishy, but you definitely don't want to buy all that stuff on your first go. Also, try for your first go, since some people aren't sure, try and be kind of frugal with your money. Don't just go splurging on a bunch of LARP gear and then, say for a medieval, and you're think you're gonna really like it. But then it turns out you really don't like the system, or you don't like the rules, or you just don't think it has enough fighting for you, or not enough roleplay, and you just put all this money into it for nothing because of the fact you hate it. So try and think about that. So now that that's over, I'm going to get into different sections of clothing. So we're gonna start with the top first. So I'm gonna get talking about shirts. So usually for me, I wear, for my first time, I could put some beautiful pictures. I'll cut them in here. So for those beautiful pictures that you just saw of my first kind of goes at outfits, I did some layers. So you really want to try and do layers with your first outfit. So for my shirt, I had usually a white blouse. So I'll put some examples of stuff I found at my thrift store. So those were some examples of some good things I found at my thrift store. So as you saw, one of them had some frills, they were long sleeved. You can also go with short sleeves. No one's gonna tell you, no, you can't wear short sleeves. Like, yeah, of course you can wear short sleeves. I just couldn't find it at the time because the store was in the middle of moving everything around, so a lot of stuff was missing. So I usually suggest going with, just a regular kind of button-up blouse. For both men and women, the women's blouse section is actually a really good place to look at, odd as it sounds. Because a lot of time in the men's section, you'll find stuff like this. So you'll find those ugly kind of sailor pockets, like the buttons, like, the sailor shirts, really what I call them, or the cruise boat shirts. And those don't really fit into a fantasy setting because of the fact that, it's really obvious that they're modern, as well as you might want to try and dirty it up a bit because shirts like that, they're stark white. It's really obvious with shirts, kind of white shirts. You can try and distress them a bit. If your character's more pristine, of course, keep them white. That's fine. But maybe you want to put a couple rips in them or something for your character. And so also I put an overshirt over mine. I couldn't find any overshirts or anything like that, so I won't have any pictures of that. But for overshirts, I just put something that could still be able to show what was underneath, with the sleeves, usually short sleeve. So it's usually I put brown. So I went for browns, blacks, and whites for my first times because they were all kind of neutral colors that looked good together. I didn't really throw in any other pops of color, so my outfit was kind of boring to look at, except for my circlet, which was really the main piece of my outfit. So now moving on to bottoms. So for bottoms, for pants, you want to avoid thick dress pants or jeans because A, they'll get really hot, and B, they don't look as good. So try and find some more stretchy pants. So here's a good example of some pants. So they're kind of more billowy because I found that pants back in the day were a lot more loose, not as tight fitting, so you might want to go with something a little more loose that you could tuck into, say, some boots or something. And so if you're kind of a skirt person, for the females, here are some good examples of skirts. Brown, because I found, that nice, really yellow skirt that I just saw, and it worked really well. You want to look for skirts that aren't going to trip you, that are nice and stretchy, maybe made out of more natural materials. For all these, you really want to go for natural materials, so cottons, linens, that kind of thing, because that was more historically accurate. It also looks better for the time. Pants are a lot harder to find, personally, I find, in thrift stores and such, and bright colors like blues and greens and all that kind of jazz. So it's usually easier to find it in the skirt section, as well as don't go for short skirts because of the fact, they're short, and back then it was really scandalous to even show your ankle. So I'm gonna talk about some footwear now. So I usually go after knee-high or calf-high kind of boots. So here's some examples of some really nice boots I found. So with those boots, you know, the kind of fur at the top looks really nice. So for females, these are shoes you absolutely want to avoid. Do you see the problem with them? It's that chunky heel. Even if it's wedges, A, you will probably twist your ankle by tripping on a twig, like a root, a rock, something. You will hurt yourself. Don't do it. You can do it for stuff that isn't as combat heavy, but for combat heavy things, please, for the love of God, don't wear heels. Also, because of the fact that it'll be a lot harder, A, to run around, and B, it's like usually not, they didn't actually wear heels back then in medieval times because of the fact that was more reserved for men, as odd as that sounds, for their riding boots. So here's some good examples now for men. So, you can kind of see the sideways thumb with one of them because of the fact that, you know, they're a little chunky because a lot of the time they were more slimming and stuff. But you gotta work with what you got, honestly. You can't just have perfect stuff. But you do want to avoid these. Sneakers. Like I said earlier, you want to avoid sneakers because they're very immersion breaking. But usually for guys, I find it's actually a lot harder to find boots and stuff because of the fact that a lot of them are bright colors or really chunky, but just kind of go with more some blacks or browns kind of colors. I almost forgot something. So, I want to mention belts. So, here are some things of some belts I find. Simple designs, you know, not anything that'll stand out too much unless your character is very eccentric and, you know, they will wear something like that. Usually I'd say to go with a plain belt. So, something like this. I actually bought this at the thrift store, I say like 2-3 months ago. So it's just a plain leather belt, nothing really special to it. So I usually say go for more like round buckles like these. Don't go like the buckles with designs or everything. As well, this is more towards like females because of the shoulder bags and everything. You can find some bags there. So this is actually my bag I wore to my first LARP for my character. This was kind of my, you know, a shoulder bag I would wear. I had my books in it. I had some of my potions, you know, that kind of jazz. As well as the thrift store, if you personally make stuff for your costuming, you can find fabric. So here are some pictures of some fabric and stuff I found. So as you can see, that gold fabric was actually really beautiful, and I actually ended up snagging that to use for some trimming and stuff. So if you make stuff for yourself, you can definitely find fabric there, which is really simple. And yeah, that's really it. So I'm gonna cut back to the end of the video, and yeah, that's really my kind of tips for appearance. So remember, accessories, make it match your character's personalities. Avoid jeans, graphic t-shirts, and sneakers. And make sure you're super duper comfy and dress for the weather because you don't want to overheat yourself. So this has kind of been my tips for character appearance, and I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye!